Today we're looking to build a killer 1440p machine using a mix of new and on-hand hardware. It's no secret that hardware prices have skyrocketed and it's becoming harder and harder to justify building a new PC in 2026. But there are a few ways to refresh your setup without selling a kidney, and a new AIO, power supply, and case are among the most cost efficient. We have the H2 Flow from NZXT, a brand new 20-liter vertical tower style case that blurs the line between small and medium form factor. It brings robust 280mm liquid cooling support, true 3-slot GPU compatibility, and airflow-focused toolless panels. Paired with a touch of tempered glass to showcase your build, sharing similar DNA to the H3 Flow but in a vertical sandwich style, uniting the GPU via a PCIe 5.0 riser cable. There's thoughtful attention to detail here, like the fully detachable radiator bracket with captive screws, support for dual top-mounted exhaust fans, and practical cable management throughout the case. The H2 Flow sits squarely between the H1V2 and the H3. Compared to the H1V2, you get 32% more internal volume, while it's 41% smaller than the H3 overall. In terms of hardware support, the extra volume is used efficiently, delivering roughly 90% of the GPU compatibility of the H3, accommodating long modern triple slot cards. It also offers about 80% of the radiator flexibility with front 280mm support, while the H3 gains additional headroom for thicker radiators and fans. Where the H2 draws a clear line is motherboard compatibility, as it only supports Mini-ITX, whereas the H3 can fit micro ATX motherboards as well. The front I/O is clean and practical. You get two USB 3.2 Type A ports, one USB 3.2 Type C port, and a 3.5mm headphone jack with a subtle LED power button. You can even remove the front I/O panel for a cleaner building environment. So that's the layout on paper, but specs only tell part of the story. What really matters is how all this comes together, focusing on high FPS 1440p gaming. Starting with the Ryzen 7 9850X3D, AMD's 2026 refresh of the 9800X3D. On paper, giving you around 4% FPS increase on average, while pulling slightly more power to sustain boost in frequencies from 5.2 to 5.6 GHz. I noticed a lower margin with about 2 FPS difference at 1440p in Cyberpunk 2077. And up to 6% improvement in Cinebench R24, Geekbench 6, and 3D Mark Time Spy Extreme. Basically a higher bent 9800X3D. To most people, a small and arguably irrelevant refresh, but it's technically better. So if you can get it for slightly more than the 9800X3D, then it might be worth it. The Asus B850i Strix is an easy go-to choice for the H2 and 9850X3D. Subtle but stylish ITX board design with 4 PWM fed headers, a rear PCIe 4.0 M.2 slot, and strong rear I/O connectivity, not to mention Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 5.4. Because of higher memory prices, we're reusing our 32GB DDR5 6000 kit from Team Group's T-Create line. The gold text on the modules are a bit out of place, but overall, they're a great looking kit. For the storage, we're going with a 1TB Samsung 990 Pro, a solid option but quite expensive these days with the rising demand for NAND flash. The Strix B850i should be able to cool it adequately despite its passive cooling design. One of the reasons I didn't go with the 9100 Pro, a drive that could get pretty toasty without active cooling. Since AM5 boards have built-in backplates, we can install the motherboard into the case and handle the AIO later. Drop the board into the H2 with 4 motherboard screws. Before we get to the cooling, let's install the GPU. I'm going with the RTX 5080 Founders Edition. It has usable rasterized performance in 4K, but 1440p is where the 5080 really thrives. The FE card fits vertically within our 331mm 3-slot threshold at 304mm long and roughly 2 slots thick. However, FE cards can struggle when backed against a spine or motherboard. To fix this, I offset the card to the 3-slot position, unfastening the riser from the case, and effectively free-flowing it from the bottom GPU I/O mount. We lose some support, but the bottom I/O mounting points are extremely solid and the card barely moves. The H2 also provides plenty of clearance below the GPU for your HDMI and DisplayPort cables, so no adapters are needed. That extra 20mm of space behind the GPU makes exhausting the hot air much more effective. I feel extremely confident that the GPU cooling will be more sufficient, especially with the option to place 2 exhaust fans at the top. NZXT sent us a few enhancements for this build. One of those is the F240X, a 30mm unified fan made from liquid crystal polymer. While the H2 Flow comes with 2 120mm fans pre-installed, The 240X fans look fantastic, seated nicely in the built-in top cradle using just 4 screws. The top cradle has cutouts for cable management, providing direct access to the PWM headers on our motherboard. Next up is the power supply. NZXT sent over their new gold certified SFX PSU, the C850, featuring a very basic design, probably more in line with affordable power supply option. Honestly a solid unit, but they made a questionable decision to leave out the physical on-off switch. The killer followed Lee's lead with the on-off switch positioned on the actual power cord, something we see on their newer Platinum SFX units. We do individually sleeve cables using a smaller connector similar to Corsair's Type 5 connectors. It fits well under the motherboard on top of the 2.5-inch SSD cradle with proper space for cable management. The last part of the build is installing the cooler. We're using the NZXT Kraken Elite V2 280. A 280mm AIO with a large vibrant display which ships with 2 140mm RGB fans. But we're using NZXT's F280X unified fans instead to match the smaller top exhaust. The fan's proprietary cable connects directly to the radiator's hub, which leads to our USB header on our motherboard. Because we want to show off the RGB, we install the F280X in a push and take configuration while avoiding cable interference with the fan blades. We need to swap the pre-installed Intel bracket for the included AM5 mounting kit. The Kraken Elite comes with thermal paste pre-applied. We install the 4 AM5 threaded screws, seat the pump, tighten everything down in an X pattern with 4 thumb screws. Cable management is a bit challenging. The system is dense, so you'll need to take your time. Routing cables as you go worked for me, but honestly, there's no best method. Results depend on your patience. However, the panels do a great job of shielding the cables from view. You could just save your time and frustrations and only manage what you can see through the tempered glass. Panels go back on. I update the BIOS to the latest version and set up NZXT's CAM software, and our 1440p gaming build is basically complete. Thermals are decent. I've set all the fans to 1000 RPM and the pump at 100% as it sounds and operates the best at max speeds. In Cyberpunk 2077 at 1440p max settings with no frame generation or DLSS, we see thermals in the mid 50s on the 9850X 3D and low 70s on the RTX 5080 FE. Averaging 114 frames per second, beating the 9800X 3D by 2 frames per second, offering steep diminishing returns in gaming compared to the 9800X 3D. Our offset does wonders as it reduces temps by 4 degrees. In a more aggressive heat-soaked test, we see high 70s in firm work after nearly 3 hours. You could see better thermals if we raise our fan speed or lower the power limit on our 5080 and afterburner. However, temps are acceptable. Noise is also acceptable. When no dust filters are dampening, you can barely hear the fans at 1000 RPM speed. I don't really notice the noise from the PSU when gaming either. The 9850X 3D is a hard pill to swallow. Sure, it does outperform the 9800X 3D, but not in the way we hoped. 1 to 3% improvement, though I only tested a couple AAA titles. Performance and synthetic benchmarks are the silver lining, seeing up to a 6% improvement using the same amount of power. The C850 SFX, a 850 watt gold certified fully modular unit, though a solid product, with a dedicated 16-pin 12x2x6 port, those coveted Japanese capacitors and individually sleeved embossed cables, and a 10-year warranty. But for $200, I don't see the value here. You lose the on-off power switch, making hard resets slightly more difficult. The F240X and the F280X are really cool fans. They're not the highest performing, but they look amazing in the H2 flow. The RGB is tasteful and the product overall feels sturdy. The PWM proprietary connector could be cumbersome, but with proper planning and cable management, it should be fine. The 280X will appear in our 140mm fan lineup video, going against the Noctua A14 G2 Chromax, Noctua T3140, and a couple of other notable fans. So subscribe if you want to see that video in the upcoming weeks. You will spend a considerable amount of time fully kitting out the H2 flow with a Kraken Elite and high performance fans if you want to emulate this exact build. Please keep that in mind. The build quality is solid, no panel gaps or inconsistencies. The panels snap on easily, and there's plenty of space for bottom cable management, with routing options on the rear and along the spine. The tempered glass, while not functional, helps add a window into your build to admire, if that's your thing. The wide base and rubber feet provide a solid stance on your desk. This thing isn't going anywhere. NZXT's CAM software needs to run 24/7 if you want to fully utilize the Kraken Elite's pump display. Honestly, this is the most stable RGB lighting and fan software, even better than Corsair's IQ software. It does use some CPU resources in the background, but this shouldn't be a problem, especially with modern CPUs. While my experience using the H2 Flow has been relatively positive, there are a few areas where the user experience could be fine-tuned. I would have loved to see an adjustable riser support bracket giving a way to offset your GPU while maintaining card rigidity. I would have also liked to see more USB Type-C ports on the front. More and more of my devices use Type-C connectors, and it's about time case and motherboard manufacturers catch up. Other than that, I love the H2 Flow. It was really fun to build in, and the Kraken Elite really helps elevate the look. It would be nice to see them reattempt the H1 with a H1 Flow with smaller 240mm support and slightly smaller at 15 liters, a proper small form factor competitor. NZXT did provide the H2 Flow, the Kraken Elite, and the SFX PSU for the sole purpose of this review. They did not pay or influence my opinion. The H2 Flow should be available starting today at $150, along with the C850 SFX PSU at $200. This concludes my video on the H2 Flow 1440p build. If you'd like to support the channel further, feel free to use our affiliate links down in the description. Thank you and see you next time.